Good afternoon, world, and thank you for tuning in. You're watching Hue in Colour. So, on today's episode, I want to talk to you about resurgence. This is the word of the week for me at the moment. Resurgence is about reigniting that excitement within you, and it's about reigniting that spark, that motivation, that excitement, that childlike awe and wonder. You see, often in life, people are trying to make progress, but the thing at the epicenter that is blocking them is reigniting that excitement again. So how do we do that? How do we get back to moving forward and shift past this feeling of stagnation? Because often, we have all the answers in the world, we're intelligent people, we've done lots of research, we have all the resources, all the infrastructure, yet for some reason it seems that we're just staying still, or that life is comfortable, but it's not extraordinary. So why is it not extraordinary? Well, the reason is because people need a resurgence. They need to reignite that excitement and start building that motivation again. So how do we do that? Well, you can start by arranging a playlist. You can start by arranging a playlist that really inspires you. Think about the music you listened to as a child. Think about the songs that you listened to when you were at college, and start that process and just watch how it changes your mood. Some people might find that they could be in a really crummy sort of meh state of mind, and then they listen to a song that they really enjoyed as a teenager, or they really enjoyed a few years ago, and it gets them inspired again. So let's create that playlist. Let's create a motivation and a let's get pumped up, let's get hyped up playlist. Also, another thing we can do is that we can lean in to our hobbies and our interests. We can start putting space and time within our week to start doing those things that we've always enjoyed. That hobby, that pastime, that sport, that subject that we were interested in. We can make time to spend more time doing that. Because meditation's great, and mindfulness is great, and silence is also great. These are really brilliant tools for resetting and relaxing the nervous system and building calm. But also, so is movement, so is dance, so is excitement, so is fascination. So let's add a little bit of that into the mix. Let's add a little bit of that into the recipe. So start doing more of the things that you enjoyed when you were younger. And then within it, we're able to shift our focus from this place of perpetually thinking that we have to do things, to then actually finding joy in things, finding intrigue, finding excitement. It's a different paradigm, because what's happening now is that we're not just moving forward and trudging through life, just being productive and achieving things, but we're doing it from a place of excitement. We're doing it with motivation. We're doing it with intrigue. Another reason that we often find in life, that I think a lot of people often find they're stagnant, is because they're expecting the same outcome as it always has been. You see, my friends, when people are depressed, they, as Jim Carrey spoke about, are fed up of living this same avatar. Their body, their mind and soul is telling them that, I'm actually bored of this, this is getting a bit repetitive, I've seen the outcome, and I've just had enough. And they find themselves in this sort of static state. They find themselves with lack of energy, lack of motivation, because in their eyes, in their perspective, it's going to be the same outcome. They feel that they're going to get up, everything I do isn't going to make a difference, so, what's the point of working hard, because it's always the same outcome. And yeah, it may be that evidence has shown them that. However, when we shift our perspective and we do things differently, we can create a different outcome. So that's the cure. That is the cure for that emotional state. That's the cure for that physical state. And to move forward is that we need to look for a different outcome. And that's how people cure themselves of depression. That's how people get out of a rut. You've got to move through it. You see, when people move through it and they say, no, actually it's going to be a different outcome this time, and you persevere, you think, okay, this has happened in the past, but you know what? I see a different outcome, because my friends, there's always a different outcome. Life is spontaneous, and there's always a different reality and a different chapter ahead of us. There's so much more to be excited about. It's simply inaccurate to think that it's always going to be the same outcome. There's going to be a different outcome. So let's breathe more energy into that. Let's breathe more life into that. That's going to help you break out of stagnation. So have your morning routine, have your rituals, have your mindfulness. And then go about your day and set an intention. You could even write it down. You could simply write it down at the top of your journal, or you could tell somebody about it that morning. And you could say, right, today I'm going to head out. I want to discover this. I want to learn about this. I want to have a conversation with this person. I want to explore this culture, or find out about that type of art, or learn about history, just whatever it may be. Or maybe it's that you want to go for a jog, or you want to achieve something. Set that intention and just commit to it. Because the truth is, the hardest part of anything is just setting that intention. They always say the hardest part of going for a jog is putting your shoes on. And it makes me laugh because it's so true. The actual 10-kilometre jog is fine because you're already in that flow, you've already got that momentum, but it's just assigning yourself to doing that. So set that intention at the start of the day and just watch how your day changes. Just start. So set up a routine. I found what worked for me wonderfully was having healthy habits and a healthy routine from the very outset of my life. So healthy nutrition, a balanced lifestyle with exercise and mindfulness. And what this did is it put me in the most optimal position to make progress, so that when I woke